In 1966, when color TV was still a novelty in most homes, a computer program made a picture in the style of the painter Mondrian, and when researchers showed it to people, about 7 out of 10 guessed a human had made it. So 60 years ago, a machine was already passing for an artist. If a machine can make the picture, and today it can make 1,000 of them in the time it takes me to sharpen a pencil, why would anyone still sit down and draw one by hand? That's what this video is about. I'll share with you exactly what AI can copy, what it quietly actually cannot, and why that difference completely changed how I think about the 20 minutes I spend drawing every day. By the end, I think I'll see why the machine can do it faster isn't the argument people assume it is. Quick hello if you're new. I'm Susan. I draw a portrait here every day, and I've spent my entire career building software for a living. So I'm looking at this from both a technical feasibility lens as well as my daily ritual as an artist. Let's get into it. Before AI ever showed up, we were already drowning in images. One figure I came across shows that the average person now sees somewhere around 10,000 images a day. And most of them aren't there to move you. They're there to move you along. On your phone, at work, or at home, when you wake up or before bedtime, you would scroll, glance, want, buy, next. They're built for consumption, not attention. They're made to keep you moving, not to make you stop and actually ponder and wonder at anything. Now put on AI. Suddenly, the supply of images isn't just large, it's infinite. A prompt, a few seconds, and there's another one. And the very natural conclusion a lot of people reach is, well, images are basically free now, so making one slowly by hand is pointless. Why spend 20 minutes on something a machine does in 20 seconds? Why would anyone bother to create anymore? A matter of fact is, when a skill becomes rare, it doesn't lose value, it gains it. When everyone can generate a picture in seconds, the person who can actually make one by hand becomes the rare thing in the room. But scarcity is the boring answer. It's the market answer. There's a better reason to keep drawing, and it has nothing to do with supply and demand. It's about what actually happens when you make an image by hand versus when a machine makes it for you. What it does to the picture and what it does to you. So what can these tools actually copy and what can't they? That line turns out to be the whole story. That Mondrian program from the intro was an early version of something called a Turing test. Put a machine and a human behind a curtain, and if you can't tell which is which, the machine passes. And the uncomfortable part is that for art, machines have been passing it for a long time. It's not just one old Mondrian, it's a system that produces convincing Rembrandt-style portraits and one that writes music in the style of Bach well enough that even trained musicians can't tell it isn't him. That sounds like bad news for anyone who draws. But look closer at what AI is actually good at. The researchers who studied this point out something I found very clarifying. AI is brilliant at styles that follow clear rules. Think about Mondrian, it's almost a system. A grid, straight, black lines, few primary colors filled in. That's not an insult to Mondrian, it's just that his style can be written down as a set of rules. And anything you can turn into rules, a computer can solve. Where it gets stuck, it's the other kind of art. Think of someone like Warhol or Duchamp, artists whose whole point was to break the rules on purpose. where what matters was the idea behind the picture, the message, not just how it looked. There's no formula for that, so the machine has a much harder time. Now, a quick myth bust, because a lot of the old advice is already wrong. You've probably heard that you can spot AI by the plastic-looking skin or the weird hands with too many fingers, or everything being just a little too perfect or symmetrical. Most of that, gone. The newer tools render really well now. Real skin texture, believable light, detail right down to the pore. Sometimes it comes out cleaner than an actual photo. So if the way you catch AI is it looks a little off, that trick is going to stop working. So where does it still slip up? Not on how polished it looks, on anything that takes a plan. Hands doing something specific and awkward, a bit of a text on a sign in the background that turns to mush the second you try to read it. And the big one, keeping things consistent. Ask it to draw the same face 10 times, and it just can't. Each version drifts a little, because it was never deciding who this person is. It's guessing again every single time. And that to me is the whole thing. The machine can make it look right. It just can't decide. It can't make that one wrong on purpose choice a real artist makes. The line you push too far because it feels better, or in the moment it feels better. The imperfection you keep because it's yours. So here's the short version. A drawing is really just a big stack of little decisions where each line goes, what to leave out, what to push bigger than it actually is. AI can copy how that stack looks once it's finished. What it can't do is make the decisions that got there. It hands you the destination and skips the whole walk. And that walk is the part I actually want to talk about. So though that brings me to the part I actually care about most, the part that isn't on the screen at all. For a lot of us, the value of a drawing was never only the final picture. It's the process. For me, it's these 20 minutes every day. The looking, the wrong first line, the eye that's off that I have to go back into 3 times. The small decision about where exactly the light lands on the cheek, that's the actual thing. The portrait at the end, it's almost a souvenir. And that's the exact part AI skips completely. It doesn't look, it doesn't struggle, it doesn't decide. It just outputs. You get the destination with none of that walk. And I think, deep down, most people can feel that difference even when they can't name it. I'll share a story relating to this about my kids. A while back, we scanned my kids' drawings and ran them through one of these AI tools and showed them what it turned their sketches into. They were amazed. It completely lit them up. But they didn't feel like the thing on the screen was theirs. There was no ownership there at all. They looked at the generated version and then they went back to their sketchbooks and tried to redraw it themselves by hand to actually make it their own. Nobody taught them that. They just knew instinctively that the making was the part that counted. Kids get this before we talk them out of it. Now, you could hear all that and think it's all just sentimental. The process, the walk, the souvenir, nice words. But the looking isn't only sentimental. It turns out it does something measurable to you. When people spend real time with real art, not scrolling past it, but actually standing in front of it, their stress levels drop. Researchers have measured this. The stress hormone cortisol goes down. And it's not just calming. Looking at art has been linked to sharper thinking and more empathy, and to a better eye for detail. The small differences in color, in shape, in the way a face is never quite symmetrical. That's the exact muscle I'm using right now, trying to make this portrait look like one specific person and not just a generic face. Compare that to the flood we started with. 10,000 images a day that ask nothing of you. You just receive it, you scroll, and then you forget. And here's a drawing, which asks you to look and decide and adjust over and over until that shape is right. One of those empties your attention out, while the other one slowly rebuilds it by making you stop and think. They're not two versions of the same activity. They are opposite mechanisms. So, the question I opened with, if the machine can make the picture, why still draw one by hand? I don't draw because I think I can outproduce a machine. I don't think anyone can. The machine can have the picture. What it can't have is the looking, and the looking is the part that's actually changing us. The patience, the attention, the way 20 minutes of really seeing something rewires how I see everything else. You can't download that. No one can do that growing for you. And to be clear, this isn't me being anti-AI. I use these tools for work literally every day. I think they really are just a tool, like a calculator. But a calculator never stopped anyone from needing to understand the math. It just changed what was worth doing by hand. And for me, this, pen, paper, a face, 20 quiet minutes, is very much still worth doing by hand. So let me hand the question to you, because I really do want to know, if a machine could make your drawing better and faster than you can, would you still make it yourself? I think for a lot of us, the answer is yes. And I think it's worth understanding why the answer is yes. For me, every hand-drawn page is a small version of that yes. That's where I landed while I finished this one. I would love to hear it in the comments. Do you use AI in your own process, or have you stepped away from it? And do you still feel that desire to make things by hand, even when the shortcut perhaps is just right there? I'm still trying to figure this out too. So if you think I got something wrong, please tell me. I might not read them immediately, but I'll read your comment eventually. Happy drawing, and I'll see you in the next one.